Disney magazine. Awesome. And he's at home here in the Okefenokee Swamp, surrounded by all of his friends. Hey, you've known and loved them for years. This year, there's going to be something a little bit different. Through the magic of flexiform animation, Pogo's coming to life.
Recognize this cartoon comic strip? It's Walt Kelly's Pogo. You've probably seen him in hundreds of newspapers, but for the very first time, you're about to see him as the star of an animated film called I Go Pogo.
Hold it! Enough is enough, and I has had it. I am departing, but before I do, I is gonna stand up for my rights.
Watch out, son. You're stepping in the pie.
I am now saying it for the last time. I absolutely, emphatically, and alphabetically will not run. Well, I won't even walk for the presidency.
We're trying to tell a story. We're incorporating motion picture and theater and graphic art, painting, sculpting, all together into one form, which is the illusion that this is a real place, that these are real living creatures. It's a fantasy. Let's figure a cutoff point.
Marc Chinoy is co-owner of Stomar Enterprises, the animation house that's creating Pogo's fantasy world. Using their unique flexiform system, Pogo becomes almost human.
Well, the classic cartoon animation is a drawn animation, and the drawings are changed, one drawing for every change of movement. With my system, we start with a model, with a character model, and we change its position and its shape. We don't throw the model aside, we just change it and improve it as we go along in the shot.
Changing the position of the models is an agonizing process. Each scene in the film is shot frame by frame, which means that the action of a figure is created by the animator moving parts of the model. The results? Smooth, realistic movement.
Uh-oh, Porky, you're getting a knot in that line there. See that tangle?
No, that ain't gonna snarl me up. That is a big knot, isn't it? I'll tell you one thing, the line wasn't made in this country.
Of course, before any filming begins, there's a plan. For every scene in the film, there's a corresponding storyboard panel of what's to happen. The results are almost identical. By the way, there were over 1,000 panels in I Go Pogo.
Well, it's cheap line. I'm bowling. Go bowling. One fast, slow, medium.
I'm in the fabricating room, where the characters are actually made. And believe it or not, these are the tools of the fabricator's art. Little pieces of wood like this, and metal, and even a few surgeon scalpels. Now, inside of these tools, there's magic. And Kim here is going to show us how the magic's done. Kim, what do you use these things for?
Well, the tools help the animator or sculptor to reach in positions where he can't reach with his hands. For instance, this rolling tool, I like to smooth out places where it's really hard to reach with your fingers. We also use, say, a brush to get texture to the character. The scalpels I use to just whittle down the character to the right proportions. The average model usually takes from 5 to 8 hours to make, depending on the experience of the sculptor. Throughout the whole film, there's hundreds of models being made of each character. The character usually lasts about 4 to 10 seconds before we have to make a new model, because the clay just gets dirty.
That means that every time we see the character, it's a different model?
Exactly, Bob.
While animators work with the characters, other artists create the sets and props for scenes like this picnic.
Hey, Pogo, wait for me!
Each piece comes apart and breaks down into, to get close to realism. We tried to get a naturalism in this film. We have all different types of ground foliage, so you can create an indefinite amount of swamp scenes. But You have to realize that if you take a tree, you have to build one tree, then you have to take a two-piece mold of that tree, so that would be like a rubber mold. Then you have to clean your mold up, then you pour that in cement, so the drying may take 20. After you crack open the mold, you have to clean the tree, then you have to prime it, then you have to paint it. So the whole process could take weeks to just develop enough materials to start building sets with.
All right, now we've talked about the characters and we've seen the sets. Now we're going to talk to Tom Garber. He makes miniatures. Those are the little things like this car that the characters can get right inside of and drive off. Tom, how long have you been doing this kind of thing?
All my life I've been building models, miniatures.
Is there anything that you did for this film that you're particularly proud of?
It would have to be the pinball machine. This is a functioning model.
You mean it actually lights up?
It has lights. And over here is a box that we use for the animation to control some of the lights to give it the appearance of it working. The pinball machine took, I'd say, about 2 months of actual working. It's made.
Whether it's pinball machines or cars, all his efforts really show in this chase scene.
Yes, of course. We'll take a taxi. Yes, yes. We'll take a taxi.
A taxi you want. A taxi you'll get.
I found that in animation I could do things that couldn't be done any other way. I think it's that fantasy aspect. If it's possible to imagine something, then we can visualize it. We can make it real. We can take people places that they couldn't go any other way.
Watch out! Watch out! Oh, boy, that's too bad.
Well, let me have another point.
Give it another try. There's other fish in the pond.
We'll be back in just a moment.